You're very welcome. So over the course of the last 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning, we've had over 200 startups from more than 80 countries around the world pitching across the venue, across 3 stages in front of hundreds of judges from the venture community or investment community. And over the last 2.5 days, we've whittled those 200 down to a final 3. Initially, we'd over 60,000 startups apply from all over the world at the very top of our funnel. So the startups that you're going to see on stage are quite incredible, but so are all of the 200 startups that participated and the other 1,500 startups that were part of our 3 different programs at Web Summit. I'd love you to give them all a huge, warm round of applause. They're just fantastic. So I'm going to introduce you to the 3 judges of the final. They're absolutely fantastic investors. One of them is a close friend of mine who lived with me for 2 months in Ireland. That's a crazy thing to do when you live in California, but I've no idea what he was thinking. And he came all the way across. He didn't last very long. The weather drove him away. That's a story for another day. So directly to my left is Theresia Gouw, who has appeared repeatedly at the very top of the Midas list, which ranks the world's very, very best investors. If you have any questions for her, I'm sure you can reach out to her on the app and message her. I'm sure you've had no messages so far from anybody whatsoever. Beside Theresia Gouw is Steve Anderson, who's ranked number 2 on the Midas list, puts him at the very, very top of the kind of investment community. He is, at the moment, the hottest early-stage investor in the world. It's a privilege to have both of them on stage. And then finally, Marcus Segal lived with me in Ireland. He's now, and that's actually the only reason he's on stage. He's also a partner at Y Combinator. But it's barely a credible reason to be up here. But as a housemate, he ironed my shirts, he cooked me food, and he taught me that if you ever want to make a great scrambled egg, and this is an essential life hack, and it's a testament to the genius of this man. Marcus, what do you need to do?
Got to add extra yolk.
Extra yolk. Extra yolk is the key to fulfillment in life.
Add extra yolk.
Yeah.
Crack another egg.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here.
Okay, so we're now going to welcome on stage our very first startup. This is the first time they've ever pitched to, this place fits 15,000 people. There's about 8,000 or 9,000 people in here right now. It's pretty nerve-wracking coming up on stage. I'd love you to give them an absolutely huge, warm welcome. Please welcome Kubo Robot.
Hello, welcome. I hope that you are having a good time, and I'm excited to pitch in front of you. My name is Tommy Ottsen, CEO and co-founder of Kubo Robot. At Kubo Robot, we prepare kids to succeed in a world that will be technology-driven. As most of you probably can recognize, robotics and AI will take over many jobs in the future. It's estimated that in 2034, 47% of all the jobs that we know today, they will be gone, they will be automated. If kids should succeed in the future, we need to give them crucial 21st century skills, like basic coding. Something that Obama recognizes. Here you can see him learning how to code together with kids in the White House. But not only Obama recognized this challenge, in the EU, more than 15 countries have made it mandatory that kids should learn basic coding skills as a part of standard curriculum. The challenge today is that most of these technologies that we use to teach kids about programming are too complex for teachers and students. This means that they are introduced too late in school, and at a time where a kid is a teenager, they might have different preferences like playing football or horse riding, so their motivation to learn about technology is very low. So we found a way where we can introduce the complexity of text-based programming, combined it with the puzzle game that we all know, and made the tactile programming language, as you can see here. I'm just gonna give you a short introduction to how Kubo works. We made it as simple as possible. As you can see in the video, actually, it works now. It didn't do that in the 2 other pitches. Here you can see kids in 1st grade doing an infinity loop in just 16 seconds. We worked with Kubo for more than 2 years with teachers and students in different schools in Denmark. And one of the principals said it was Kubo motivate and engage children to learn about coding in a very playful manner. We also attended different conferences. We went to the BED show in London, where one teacher came to me and said that it was the most innovative and intuitive tool that she had seen for 5 years to teach children how to code. We have a simple business model. A school can buy a class set of 10 robots. Next slide, please. Yeah. Thank you. As you can see, you can buy a basic class set of 10 robots and a curriculum for teaching how to code, but you can also expand to other subjects, that being English, music, or math. The market for potential for educational technology is huge. The total market for, next slide please. The total the education market is more than 5 trillion US dollars, and the 2016 estimation is $145 billion. With only 2% of the edtech market being digitalized, it leaves a potential of $250 billion in 2020. Our go-to-market strategy has 5 components: inbound marketing, conferences like this one, sales partners, ambassadors, and a crowdfunding campaign in January. Our main focus is our strong sales partners and our crowdfunding campaign in January. And to sum it all up, we have had quite a lot of success since we started. We received a grant when we were just students. We are part of a startup hub and have received around $200,000 in funding so far. And our team has experience within startup, robotics, educational technologies, and marketing, so we can share Kubo with the world. To sum it all up, we took the complexity of text-based programming, combined it with the puzzle game, and made the tactile programming language to introduce coding in kindergarten and primary. Thank you.
So first question, you raised $200,000. How much more capital do you need to bring this to market?
We actually have enough at the moment to go to our Indiegogo campaign, and then we expect to see how the market reacts, how good we are at executing or delivering on the activities that we have started, and then we want to go and talk with investors after that.
So you don't know how much you'll need to get to market?
We are going to we have everything in place. We have production, and we have marketing campaign set up. We have paid for our patent so far, and we have covered our expenses for the next year.
Okay, thank you.
How much do you want to raise on Indiegogo?
We hope our aim will be around, let me calculate, in $80,000.
Okay.
But we know that similar products have made more than 1 million, and we would like to beat the record if possible.
Is there, once I own the robot, is there like a subscription component for additional lessons, or do I get like the infinity loop and 2 music things and a coding thing, and then that's that? How are you going to keep up with demand for content?
We have a platform that we have in beta test now where teachers can share curriculum with each other and new assignments. And we made the design of Kubo open, which means that we can keep developing new brains with new sensors. We can also change our tactiles, and we already now are testing a tactile set where we use letters and small houses and trees, and then kids learn how to spell, and you can also use it for math and music.
So is there a feedback loop so you can tell which lessons kids are completing or not completing, and you can adapt? the lesson plans, or?
It's a part of our product development that in the future we will use data, and we have made a few tests where we can actually get a good picture of the level that a class has in a certain subject. For example, word classes and so on.
How does this differ from some of the other in-class robotics products that are out there, that it's just geared for a younger age?
Well, the majority of them use tablets to teach children how to code. But when you use something that's virtual, like a tablet or a computer, you don't get the same learning outcome as using something that is physical. And that's something to do that kids under 11 years old, their brain is not developed to actually think abstract. So they need concrete objects to work with.
How did your team decide to go after this problem? What was the impetus?
I think it started as a project on our masters, and we wanted to challenge that screens always were a part of education if you wanted to use technologies. And we knew from a theoretical point of view that physical objects would be better. So we made a low fidelity paper prototype to see if the idea we had were any good, and the results were good. And 2 years later, we are here with the final product.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Tommy and Kubo
You're welcome.
Robot.
Thank you.
A fantastic Danish startup from the home of Lego. Next up, can you please put your hands together for Papaya Pods from Lausanne, Switzerland.
I'm sure all of you have at some point in your life rented an apartment after relocating to a new city, so you know how painful the process is. Now I'd like you to flip this round and imagine what it's like for the landlord. You see, every time a landlord rents out a room, people believe their biggest pain point is finding a tenant. That's actually just where the process begins. Landlords go through all these processes, and they do this on multiple platforms, which results in completely decentralized communication. And at the end of the day, we're in 2016, and believe it or not, people still do this with Excel spreadsheets, printed out papers, and scans. Now, the more rooms you have, these problems are magnified, and that's where Papaya Pods comes in. We solve this issue by providing landlords with an intuitive and easy-to-use software that translates the entire rental journey digitally in one place. To give you an example, you can communicate in real time with your prospective tenants. Once you've selected one that you like, you sign the contract online. No need to be together, you can do this remotely. Once the tenant arrives, you check them in. You have an application with which you can document the state of the apartment at the time of entry with photos, inventory checklists, and you're able to take notes. Once your tenant's living there, things break. And so what you can do as a tenant is you take a photo, write a small message, and send it up to your landlord, who knows exactly which apartment he's talking about and which tenant. Rental payments. We will be processing these through our platform, which means that it's going to be possible to know exactly who's paid and who hasn't, and automate rental reminders and warnings. And last of all, when the tenant moves out, now this is the critical point here, because normally no one knows who has to pay for which damage, and so you compare the state of the apartment at the moment you move out with the inventory check-in one that you signed off on at the time of move-in. What we do for our landlords using our software is we allow them to save time and money. And this means they can focus on providing an experience and a much better service to the tenants. Better tenants, less problems. Now, in terms of our market, 1.1 trillion euros are generated in rent revenue every single year in the States and Europe. Next slide, please. Now, the accessible market, what property management companies and agencies have access to, is worth 80 billion. 1% of this is the equivalent of 800 million revenues year-on-year potential. And Papaya Pods plans on capturing this potential through a freemium business model. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Well, anyone with one room can rent this out and use Papaya Pods for free. However, if you have multiple rooms, that's where our value proposition really kicks in, and we have a per room, per year subscription model. And if we could please flick back again a couple of slides, I'm really sorry about this. Back to the one with traction. One more over. Nope, going forwards. We're nearly there, come on. Technology, it's wonderful these days. Right, so I hope I have a few seconds extra just to wrap this up. Oh, no, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. The best part's coming, please. So, we conceptualized and started development on Papaya Pods this time last year, roughly. We launched the beta version, which is the free one, in mid-April this year. We've grown by 68% month on month, and 5 weeks ago, we released the professional version, or the first one of this. We have now got 100 paying rooms using this, 800 under trial, and 3,000 in the pipeline. And thanks to the Web Summit, in the 2 days that we've been here on our stand, we have increased our pipeline to 3,000 rooms, ranging from potential clients all the way in Norway down to Cape Town. Click, please. We relocated our operations from Switzerland to Barcelona. I asked 7 people who had lived there for 6 years to pack up their bags and move to Barcelona to make this dream a reality. We generated 100,000 francs in revenues. Our mobile app on iOS and Android is currently pending approval, and we've launched Papaya Pods 1.0. We've done this with a burn rate of 15,000 euros and 9 highly motivated full-time employees. We are innovating a sector which has been rooted in tradition and remained stagnant for decades. No matter what, we're going to make rental housing easier for landlords anywhere in the world. My name is Alex Just. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Papaya Pods. Thank you.
You handled it very well with the deck not working. So, question number one is:
Thank you.
Is the information that I have as a landlord stored locally? Because if you go out of business or something like that, am I going to be? How should I think about the information I have about? Because tenants will move out years after they come in, I would think. So,
sorry.
What risk am I taking with your product if you go out of business?
If we go out of business. Well, then at the end of the day, we would look to transfer the data to a different platform, but you wouldn't lose the data. It's all stored on the cloud. I'm not very technical, so.
Is the product designed for landlords who are, let's say, is it designed for a landlord who has 100 different properties, or a guy renting out a few rooms?
It's fully scalable, that's the thing. So whether you are an individual landlord who wants to bypass working with an agency for the fees,
so most management companies have to provide monthly reconciliation reports and things like that, and they use QuickBooks that plug into other tools. Do you guys do that?
We don't focus on the accounting, not at all. We're purely dealing with the operations and the communication there. Well, however, we are looking to integrate with accounting software so that we can then provide reporting in an interactive dashboard. But this is something that we're looking at next year.
And then do you provide any of the tenant screening or credit check that you need when someone applies for a unit?
So we don't do the screening. We allow our landlords to do this. However, every application that is made, the prospective tenant has to supply the documents which the landlord themselves specifies. So that means we can cater to any kind of market and don't run the risk of legal barriers getting in the way of our software being used.
So you already provide the payment capability, but you're not integrated with any accounting software?
Not yet. So this is what we're finalizing next year. The rent payment.
But payments are already happening through your system?
They can happen through our system, exactly, and they'll be able to be processed through direct debit through our system as well.
So of the 500 rooms that are on the system now, how many are actually using it for payments?
None of them are using payments now because we haven't yet fully finalized this feature. We will be doing that next year.
Got it. And I know you've started out here in Europe and then moving on. Have you looked at many of the companies in the United States? Because there are actually quite a few.
Absolutely. AppFolio, Buildium, and TurboTenant, for example, are the ones which we consider our main competitors. These guys are based in the US, and the barriers to entry for the rest of the world are huge for them. So our objective is to look at it this way. If we capture Europe, Asia Pacific, and Africa, we can then look at an exit strategy with the US companies so they can gain market share on a global level.
And in the European market, is it dominated more by these multi-tenant renters, like what Marcus was talking about? Or it sounds like you're going after more, in the US, what we would say the Craigslist market, right? The person who's got 1 or 2 properties.
No, we go for people who have multiple rooms. So we're aiming for between 50 and 500. That's our ideal target.
Do you have any professional management companies using it, though?
At the moment, we have one who's trialing it, so it's an agency, and one of our first clients that we're finalizing discussions with is a hospital. It's not their core business, but they have a really high turnover of people who have, for example, internships, etc. So that's typically someone who would also use it. Sorry, I guess I'm out of time.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much,
Thank
and well
you.
done.
That-
So he did incredibly well despite the technical issues. I'd like to apologize for that. We've over 5,000 people that work on making Web Summit happen. It's over 200 production companies involved across the venue. And there's a very tiny production company that's played a very small but nevertheless important part that's in charge of those screens. It's an Irish company called Catapult. There's about 5 of them here in Lisbon. They help do a small number of components on stage. They've done a fantastic job over the last 4 years. They'll be absolutely kicking themselves that has happened. They're absolutely fantastic. I don't know. I think you should just put your hands together for all the more than 5,000 people who've been involved in putting this all together behind the scenes. So, let's hope it works this time. Our Catapults are getting the boot. Please welcome to the stage Soiltron.
Hi, my name is Wael, and I'm here. It's great to be here at Web Summit Finals. Growing up as a kid, I was always fascinated by electricity. But unaware of the dangers, I used to play with it even though my mom and dad kept telling me not to do so, until one day I discovered what it was like to have an electric shock for the first time. But guess what? I still didn't listen to my parents. As time went by, I got more involved, eventually creating my own lab at home, which was a nightmare for my parents. A couple of years ago, I participated in a national school competition, which I won. But more importantly, it gave me the opportunity to showcase my own invention of generating electricity from soil. This gave me the motivation to continue and take it to another level. I started by sending emails to R&D companies around the world. And it just so happened that one of the few replies I got was from Dr. Panayiotis Filimis from Cyprus R&D Center, which was based in Cyprus just like me. After meeting up, it became very apparent that his knowledge, expertise, experimental facilities, and resources would be really valuable. And that's how, a year later, Soiltron was born. Today, renewable energy sources are inconsistent. They have intermittent production. They are weather and location independent, and most of the time they require of the use of batteries, which increases the cost and harm to the environment. What Soiltron brings to the table today is a technology that is capable of producing continuous electricity from soil. It's weather and location independent, it has a longer lifetime, and does not require the use of batteries. How this works? Well, it's based on 3 main principles. Galvanic corrosion, which is used in primary cells, tapping of telluric waves, which are waves of electrons under the surface of the ground, and collecting free electrons from the ground, which is technology we introduce. Through our research, we have managed to move from 1 square meter prototype, barely enough to light 1 small LED, to one that can fit in your hand and power a variety of sizes of lamps. Our recent breakthrough has enabled us to power outdoor lights, which we have showcased here at Web Summit before 2 days. However, Soiltron will continue to research for further applications which can benefit from soil energy, just like lights, sensors, telecommunication, and many more. The market potential is huge. $100 billion are spent each year on lighting industry, with an energy cost of more than 3 trillion. Outdoor lighting alone has a market of 10 billions, with energy consumption of more than 100 billions. Based on this, we estimate our financial projections for the next 3 years to be around 150 millions. So, what's the future of Soiltron? Well, it goes far beyond lights and low-power devices. We envisage our technology being used to power whole buildings, factories, and even cities in the future, significantly reducing the harm to the environment while providing a reliable and durable source of energy. Thank you.
What I didn't understand is how does your technology work in a city where it's all concrete?
Well, we have a plan. Well, I would like to introduce my co-founder, Dr. Panayiotis Filimis.
Hi.
Basically, one of our plans for street lights is to make small holes near the existing lamps and put our generator inside it and connect it to the up to the surface. So it's depending on the application. You can just dig holes or find somewhere near which have soil and you put it there connected to your application.
Oh, like a park or something like that.
Yes, definitely.
And what's the state of the product right now? Do you have them in production or a few betas?
Well, I would like my co-founder to answer this.
Basically, at the moment, we have proved the concept for a few watts, and that means powering outdoor lighting up to 10 watts. We've been testing now up to 1,500 watts for the street lights. So we're going to go to production basically early next year. Mid of 2017, we're going to go with orders. And we plan in 2018 to go out with the street lights.
What's the cost of the unit today?
At the moment, for the lights, that is the outdoor lights, which is like less than 10 watts, it's less than $8.
Your cost, your production cost?
Yes.
And how much soil do you need to generate the current wattage?
Well,
Cubic.
let me give you an example, which we had here at Web Summit. We used cells of 2 centimeters diameter with 10 centimeters length, which was enough to power standard outdoor lights, the small ones. So, and we're under research now to have the big ones. I mean, I cannot give you real numbers for the big ones because it's only estimation, and that's why we're here. We're seeking investment to continue our research to the next level.
What's the, you called out a target revenue of 150 million a year. What's the timeline to get there in your head? I know that's kind of a hockey stick. What's the timeline, and what do you see as the biggest challenges to getting there?
Yeah, basically, the plan is in 3 years to go 150 million. That means 2020. That means 4 years from now. The business model actually is based also because we've been approached from companies to license the technology, something that we didn't introduce at the beginning. So we go out for outdoor lighting, but there is a lot of interest on the licensing and also just selling the generating devices. So definitely we're going to go with lighting, with big manufacturers, and if they're interested either to license the technology or even buy the generators.
So what percentage of the 150 million do you think is coming from licensing, and is there an analog company that's in a similar way made that kind of revenue from licensing disruptive technology?
Basically, the market is quite huge, as you can understand. So we projected that we're going to reach in 4 years, get 1% of the market in 4 years. So at the moment, we are targeting the big light manufacturers, and we believe it's something that is really new and is really the cost is really low. So we believe it's gonna be there.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So before we break for lunch, just to remind you that the creative genius behind Pokemon Go will be on stage for 2 p.m. and we'll kick off the final afternoon at Web Summit. Finally, please put your hands together for our fantastic judges and all of the startups who participated. Thank you.